Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today I'm going to be making a recipe that was inspired by lovely Sherry, who got in touch with me via Facebook to introduce me to something I'd never heard about, but more curiously and interesting for me, a gadget I had never seen before. And it is this. Have you ever seen a gadget like this before? I had not. And on it says chicken sans volaille, French and English combined, and it means chicken without poultry. What in the world, right? And then I fell down the rabbit hole, which is the internet, to learn more about this. And this is used to make mock chicken or city chicken. Sherry said she's eaten it, her children have eaten it, and it is still eaten in the greater Great Lakes area, even into Ohio, parts of New York, and it's believed to have been created in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And you can still go to the butcher and get little packets of city chicken. So what is mock chicken? Mock chicken is chicken that's made out of pork or veal. So chicken at the time was more expensive than either veal or pork. It was considered a little bit fancy. So if you wanted chicken, you could take pork or veal and combine the two and make something that was very chicken-like. I was curious because of the inflating prices of food, how much this dish would cost, and we're going to be using pork loin today, and I got a loin roast for $3.49 a pound, which is pretty comparable to chicken prices here in the US. I found drumsticks to be about $2.79 a pound, and chicken breasts were closer to $5 a pound, so pretty comparable in price. I just want to know if it's tasty too. Is it juicy? Is it tasty? And I want to really use this mold. I'm also going to be making two different versions when I research this. There are recipes that use molds, and there are other recipes that just use cubes of meat on skewers. So we're going to try both so we can do a little side-by-side comparison. Also, I don't expect many of you to have one of these nifty gadgets, so the cubing version will allow you to try it at home as well. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to give you a close-up of this chicken sans volaille, and it opens up quite widely, giving you a really great drumstick shape. So the first thing we're going to need to make our city or mock chicken is pork. So I've got a couple pounds of pork loin here that I've cubed up. I've cut them into 1 to 2 inch cubes, and these ones here I'm going to set aside for the skewered version. And what I've done is cut smaller pieces here, a little bit bigger pieces, and kind of line them up so that when we skewer them, they'll look a little bit like a drumstick. For the others, I'm going to grind in my food processor. This recipe was so popular, it was actually published in The Joy of Cooking, and like lots of recipes and regions, there are regional kind of specific versions. Some call for cubing the meat, some call for skewering it and then baking it in some broth so it creates a gravy, so all different kinds of versions. So anyways, back to this. I'm going to take my cubed pork and put it in, oops, we will clean that up in just a second. Get the pork in here. Okay, before I forget, clean that off. I'm going to be making a very simple version today. I'm going to be seasoning this with just salt and pepper. Whoops, upside down. So black pepper, freshly cracked, 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon. And because this is my version, and because I like it, I'm going to add white pepper as well. I love white pepper with my fried chicken. So this is going to be about 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, if you have it. Got kosher salt here. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of that. And then we're just going to pulse this until it has a coarse grind. We don't want it to be completely ground up into a paste. We still want there to be some substance, so coarse. That's why we didn't opt for ground pork. We're not making meatballs, right? Okay, so pulse. It's about 20 times. Let's see the texture. It's still pretty chunky, so I'm going to go a little bit longer. All right, that was 10 times, and I think that's where we're going to stop. So that's what it looks like. Still a little bit grizzly, you know? For the cubed version, I'm going to season them the same way. Plenty of salt and black and white pepper. I love white pepper. Although it's so finely ground, it always makes me sneeze. So I've got some skewers here, and these are about 6 inches long. You don't have to use this length, it just happens to fit in the mold perfectly. So what we're gonna do is take the smaller portion of meat and thread that first. This is going to be kind of the end of the drumstick, and then we're going to go a little bit larger as we get to the fatter part of the drumstick. We're trying to make kind of a faux drumstick by just stacking the meat up. So there's the meat, and then we can kind of shape it a little bit, give it a squeeze there, and look, kind of has the shape of a chicken drumette, right? So set that aside and do the same for the other two. I love how industrious and practical and inventive these recipes that come from hard times. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen my hard times playlist, you should definitely check that out. The recipes were inspired by times of hardship and so much invention and practicality in those recipes. Love them. Okay, so I've got the version that is just the skewered meat ready. Alrighty, for the other version, we're gonna use the meat that we ground up. So Alrighty, so now we're gonna use our lovely mock chicken mold to mold some chicken drumettes or drumsticks. Yeah. Okay, so here is our mold, and there is a hole here. So that's for our skewer. So based on the blog post I saw and the images that were shared, you just take your meat mold here, chicken mold, and just grab it. You could see how it would make swift work of it, right? Grab it and then use a spoon to get any extra bits off. Give it a good squeeze. So we have the meat entrapped, and then we take the skewer and impale it through, and that gives us a little handle. Oh my gosh, there we go. Oh, look! Wow, that worked great. And now we're going to transfer that to a plate. Okay, we're gonna help it along. There it is, meat on a stick. Wow. It totally worked. Okay, works great. So you just give it a good squeeze and scrape off the excess. Make sure that the gadget is full. Oh, this one has a little bit of a gap, so I'm gonna add a little bit more meat to that part. And squeeze it. Whoa, that made a gnarly sound. I think there's a bit of a learning curve using this gadget. Yeah, see? That one didn't turn out very well. Okay, let's start again. All right, let's put our meat in a brick. The first one turned out beautifully. Grab it, squeeze it, cut off the excess. Maybe I should have ground it finer. Okay, that one turned out better. Okay, so it's just a matter of just learning how to use the machine. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and shape more of these drumsticks, and we'll come back for the next step of preparing our mock chicken. Alrighty, my lovelies, I have shaped all the drumsticks using my mold, and I found oiling the interior of the mold a little bit really helped to get the meat to release. So if you happen to have a, city chicken mold, oil it first. Alrighty, so we have those shaped, and now we are going to add our breading. Look at the drumsticks. Don't they look very meaty and drumstick-like? Amazing. And then the skewered ones here. I had a little extra. I'm just gonna make like a little ball. So into a container, we're going to crack 2 eggs. Season that with pepper. And I'm gonna use a little bit of seasoning salt. Oh, and white pepper too. Whisk that up. And that is going to be our egg wash. Okay, done. Then in a plate, I'm gonna add some plain breadcrumbs, and I'm gonna season them myself with the same stuff. Seasoning salt, that's probably about a 1/4 teaspoon, white pepper, a little paprika for color, and black pepper. I'm gonna add some more breadcrumbs. I never seem to have enough. And mix. So that's our seasoned breadcrumbs. And then over here I've got a skillet, and I'm going to preheat some oil. And as the beeping indicates, I've got my oven preheated as well. We're going to pan saute these so they get nice and crispy, and then we're going to finish the cooking off in the oven, 350 degrees. Okay, I'm going to heat up my butter and my oil while I get the meat dredged. So pretty simple. We're going to take our drumstick, carefully place it into the egg wash and then into the breadcrumbs. Now I'm using both hands because I'm trying to be really gentle with the meat. I don't want the meat to come off the stick. Usually I would try to do this with one hand and then bread with the other hand. It's a good way to stay tidy in the kitchen, but in this case I'm prioritizing handling my meat gently. In an effort to keep my hands clean, I'm just going to spoon the breadcrumbs over. So breadcrumbs, these are plain breadcrumbs. You could also use panko or Japanese style breadcrumbs. That makes a really nice crispy exterior as well. Oh my gosh, that looks just like a drumstick. That's uncanny. Look. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna turn this heat down just a bit. So here is the cubed version. Do the same thing, plop them into the egg wash, twirl them around to coat, and then into the breadcrumbs. Okay, so I'm going to bread the others. We're just going to start with 6 for now because I want to get this going. I've got butter and oil heating, and we are going to gently fry our drumsticks. Okay, the butter is making this smell great. And these are the solid chunk ones. Don't want to crowd the pan, just a few at a time. Now we're just trying to get these golden. We're not trying to get them cooked. We're going to do that in the oven. Whoa, this is hot. Let's turn this down. Ooh, that one's a little bit more brown than I want it to be. So make sure your heat's a little bit less excited than mine. And as soon as these brown up, I'm going to transfer them onto here. Alrighty, so once these are browned up, I'm going to pop them into preheated 350 degree oven, and we're going to bake them for 10-15 minutes or until the internal temperature reaches at least 145 degrees. And then we're going to give these a taste. Alrighty, my lovelies, I'll see you in a little bit. Woo! Alrighty, my lovelies, my mock or city chicken is complete. And I have to say, it is impressive. It looks so much like breaded chicken. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is one that came out of the mold, the little old-fashioned Gadget. And this is the one that was made out of cubes of meat. Still pretty impressive if you take the time to gradate the size from small to large. It looks a lot like a drumstick. Here's the other cubed meat one. So a little bit lumpier, a little less consistent looking, and perfect looking than the one that came out of the mold. Still pretty great, right? So for a little extra color, I'm going to sprinkle these with a little bit of parsley. This is just dried parsley. Not much for flavor, just more for just color. Lovely. Oopsie. Alrighty, now for the moment of truth. What does city chicken taste like? So let's give it a taste. Let's try this one. This is the one that came out of the chicken, not poultry mold. Alrighty, here we go. Itadakimasu. Oh, that's good. Really nicely seasoned. Does it taste like chicken? I think it could fool some people. It doesn't have that kind of sinewy bite when you bite into a drumstick, you know, when you bite into it and you kind of have to pull on it. I love that. My parents always gave my brother and I the drumstick when we were kids because it had a little handle, it's easy to eat. And so I recommend eating it with the stick just so you have that experience. But It's a pretty good dupe for chicken. Does it taste exactly like chicken? No, but it doesn't taste like beef either. It's delicious. This is what it looks like on the inside. See, so chopping it up coarsely is good because then it's not just like a meatball. You don't get that really homogeneous texture. You'll still get some of that meatiness. To me, it tastes like a pork chop, which I love. I love pork chops. And it is a wider meat than, say, duck or beef. Delicious, very well seasoned, very tasty. Now let's try the cubed version. So this is composed of big chunks of pork. Still, looks very drumstick-like. Here we go. Wow. That, in terms of having that drumstick experience of biting into a piece of chicken, piece of meat, and pulling it off the bone, this is much more similar to that experience. Delicious. In terms of flavor, it's similar to tonkatsu, Japanese tonkatsu, which is a fried pork cutlet or schnitzel. Tastes like a pork chop with a nice, lovely breading on the outside. This could be customized with any kind of dipping sauce if you want to add ketchup or whatever you want to it. I think it's absolutely delicious as it is. This is often served with mashed potatoes and gravy, which I think would be fantastic as well. Of the two, I have to say I enjoy the cubed version more. You don't need the Gadget, which was really fun to use, and it saves you some time because you don't have to chop up the meat. And I really like the juicy kind of experience, but it doesn't look as much like a chicken drumstick. But these days you can buy chicken drumsticks, if you like, for cheaper than what it costs to make mock or city chicken. It's so good. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. I get so many great suggestions from all of you. Like this video, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I shall see you in the next video. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Oh my gosh. Why is eating food on a stick so much fun? It just is.